Hey, it's Paul. It's YNR Update. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump right into it. The first thing we see is Michael and Dylan, and they're going back and forth over the evidence. And now Michael says that he can get the evidence thrown out. And Dylan challenges him and says, what if you can't? He says that we have to go and prove that Sharon's being framed, just in case we can't get that thrown out as evidence. Now Sharon overhears it. She comes in and she freaks out. She thinks that everyone's against her and they're going to find her guilty. She's going to spend the rest of her life in jail. And she's not doing well with this. Now, Lauren arrives and takes Michael out to lunch, but things get hot between her and Dylan, and she basically gives up. And then Dylan turns the tables on her and says, you know what? If all the evidence is piling up against you, you must be guilty. That's it. And Lauren, at that point, Sharon turns around and starts fighting for herself, and she starts stating all the things that show that she's being framed. And what she's done is played into Dylan's hands. He's just done this to prove to her that she knows she's innocent and they have to fight. And so they seem like they're on better terms with that. The next thing we see is Avery, and her and Joe are with the doctor. And then they find out that Joe has to go to a place in Chicago. It's a special hospital where he can get the kind of care he needs. Now, what does Avery do? She offers to go with him. And she says it's her decision. But Joe is wondering what's going to happen as far as Dylan, how he's going to react to it. Now we know how Dylan's going to react to it, or at least we think we do, until Avery calls Dylan and says, you know, Joe's got to go to this special hospital and I'm going to go with him. Now, even though Dylan doesn't want her to, he says, it's all right, she can do this, she can go. Now, eventually Sharon hears what he's done, and she sort of corners Dylan and says, you know this isn't how you feel, you don't want her to go there, and you know that she's going to be slipping away, so why don't you go over there and tell her the truth? So what does he do? He heads over there and he runs into Joe, and they have a heart-to-heart. And for the first time I can honestly say the Joe character is honest, because he tells Dylan everything he thought was right. Every scheme, every trick that he thought he had done to get back with Avery is true. He did all those things, and I'm floored. But what does Dylan do? Dylan turns around and says, you know what? In the end, it's not my decision. I can't tell her not to go. It's up to her what she does. So now the ball's in Avery's court, and we're gonna have to wonder and see what happens. But then in the meantime, Avery goes over to see Dylan to talk to him about this, because Joe has questioned her as well and says, you know, this guy might not want you to go. You've got to go to him. So she finds Sharon there, and the two of them get into it like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it gets downright nasty to the point where Avery says to Sharon, you've slept your way through all the Newman brothers, all three of them, and you are a disaster. And they almost get into a physical altercation when Michael comes back from his lunch and tries to separate them, but Michael collapses. And so we know that Michael's been avoiding his doctor's calls, his oncologist calls, and we know that he hasn't been taking care of himself. And so this is sort of a culmination of all that. So we'll have to really see what happens with this. And the next thing we see is Hillary and Devon, and this is tough, because Hillary sits Devon down and she tells him that she still loves him and she pleads her case, she wants him back. And Devon accuses her of switching up her story for convenience. You know, he says, like, how am I going to believe you? And the other thing he says, I can't ignore the fact that you slept with the ADA, that you actually, while in love with me, slept with somebody else. You're telling me how much you love me. And she says that, you know, she's got no regrets as far as this is concerned, that she would have done whatever it took to get Neil off of those charges. So this is a really tough decision for Devon, and you know, they're having a hard time finding their way back to her. So he actually just shuts her down. He says no way, and he leaves. But what does Hillary do? I mean, she doesn't give up. She's pretty dogged. She follows him to his hotel room, you know, and she tells him she'll settle for anything, even if they can just be friends. Now, we don't get an answer to that, so we're sort of left holding the bag. But the one thing Devon says to her is, he says, now you're putting me in a situation, and this is what it comes down to. I'm working my way back to Neil. You know, we saw them after the trial. He held his hand out to shake Neil's hand, and Neil hugged him, and you could tell they were bridging the gap. They were on their way back to each other. So Devon says to Hillary, I've got two choices. Go back to her. But if he does go back to her, it's going to ruin all the progress that he's made with his father. You know, the tough thing for Hillary and Devon supporters is every time they look like they're making progress, something knocks them back down. it seems to be a recurrent thing. You know, we really want to see this couple together, but it's like somebody else has something in the cards for them. In fact, I was reading online this week, and I read a report that said Michelle Morgan is pregnant. You know, if this is confirmed and it turns out to be true, this is just another shot for that. The word is that she'll be exiting the show, and there's no return date as yet specified. So it's all up in the air now. I don't know how the writers are going to take this couple to that point, whether they're going to be together, but word is she will be leaving Genoa City. So, well, I guess all we can do is just keep writing and keep showing support, and hopefully this will end up in the best possible scenario. And the other thing we see is Colin. Now, Colin is masterful. I mean, he's always working the angles. He sees Lauren and he sees the chemistry that she's got with Kane. And what does he do? He takes Lily aside and he plants a ton of doubt in her head. He says, you know, this is what could happen. She's going through a tough situation. Her husband's pushing her away. He's working with her. The two of them are getting closer. But Lily stands by her man and says, I trust him. You know, they've been down this road before. She says, I trusted him, I'm going to stick by him. But then Colin throws some more shade on top. He says, it's not him you have to worry about, it's Lauren. She's already cheated on Michael. And with him pushing her away, it's only a matter of time. So what happens? We see the two of them, and Michael, we know, is already pushing them in this situation. All of a sudden it comes up that they've got a late night meeting with a client, and Kane already has plans with Lily. And so what happens? Michael says, no, go ahead, Kane, go meet. You can tell Michael's pushing the two of them together. Now, it gets really sort of crazy because, you know, at this point, Jill jumps in, and Jill has a conversation with Michael. And I mean, Jill, you gotta love this about her, she's blunt. And she gets right to the point, and she says, you're being an idiot. You're actually pushing this woman away at a time when you need her. She's gone through all this stuff for you, and what do? You push her away. So Michael sort of collects himself and he decides, again, I mean, we're seeing the scenario again, he's going to go be the bigger man. He's going to go over and see Lauren and reach out to her. So he goes over to where the meeting is, and he sees the two of them laughing, having a good time, Kane and Lauren. And he doesn't tell him he's there, and he walks away. Now, it's setting up like something is actually going to happen, because what happens is Lauren breaks down to Kane and she starts, you know, showing how much anguish she's got over the fact that Michael's pushing her away. He doesn't want to be with her. He's actually staying in somebody else's house, and he's refusing. And we see this in an earlier conversation where she reads in the riot act, just saying, you don't even want to talk to me. You're not taking my calls. You're not taking your doctor's calls. So at the point where this is going on, we see Lily show up, and Lily's not having any of this. I mean, she sees them together, but she shows up, she claims her man, says, I changed my mind, I'm going to take you out to dinner, and they do go. And as I said previously, we see what happens to Michael when he's back at Sharon's place. He collapses. So it'll be interesting to see how far ahead this pushes the storyline with him having this collapse, and maybe we'll get to the bottom of what's going on. But that's all she wrote for this episode. I want to thank you all for checking out Y&R Update. It's Paul. I hope you're having a great time seeing the show. Please, I love your comments and your feedback. Keep sending them. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Pinterest, and on Twitter. Have a great day.